Video program, viewers should prepare themselves for games-related jokes, nonsense and general hijinks.
From the alternative world of video games today, Caroline gets tanked up with the lads, Street Fighter takes on Mortal Kombat, we've got the making of the best-selling PC game ever, and England take to the field and someone gets a pumping in our football championship.
Hey viewers, you know I do love the library. It's a place for me to get some peace and quiet and, more importantly, read all the periodicals and newspapers absolutely free. Though I have to admit I'm struggling to find Razzle in this particular one. Still gives me an opportunity to read one of your letters. This one is from John Williams from Stoke-on-Trent, and he says, "Dear Dominic, I recently bought some import games when I was in Amsterdam, and though they play fine on my machine, they're having a funny effect on me. I have some embarrassing itching and it hurts when I pee. What shall I do?" Well, John Williams from Stoke-on-Trent, this is a problem when you do buy stuff in Amsterdam. All I can suggest is finish the game as quickly as possible, and because you're obviously too embarrassed to see a doctor, hope for the best. Like all media, video games sometimes suffer from grossly over-expecting claims about how good they're going to be when they come out. Often this gap between expectation and reality reaches chasmic proportions. So today we're going to take a look at the 5 most overhyped games ever.
At number 5 is a once mighty gaming icon's catastrophic debut on the PlayStation 2, Tomb Raider: Angel of Darkness. Prior to the game's release, Eidos had spent years assuring everyone that Lara's appearance on the next-gen console would push the character to new graphical heights and deliver stunning original gameplay. When it finally arrived, Angel of Darkness looked grotesque, while the only significant development in gameplay was a change to the control system that made Lara almost impossible to manage. At number 4, back in the day, in 1994 to be precise, the games world held its breath in anticipation of what promised to be the greatest beat-em-up in console history, Rise of the Robots. I can't even say the name now without laughing, because no sooner had the robots risen than they sunk without trace. It couldn't be denied the game looked quite good for the time, as long as your character remained still, but by far the biggest problem was it played like a dog, tied tightly, in a bag, submerged in a deep river. Join us for more overhyped donkeys later in the show.
You know, thanks to the growth of the internet, cheap book clubs and a generally less intelligent population, people don't go to libraries as much these days. Now that's a shame because they miss out on things like Clint Eastwood by Minty Clinch. Some more nuggets of information for you now in today's Behind the Game.
This is Will Wright. He'd already given the world Sim Ant, Sim Earth, Sim Farm and the world-conquering Sim City when he suddenly abandoned work on forthcoming root vegetable epic Sim Potato and opted instead for something called, wait for it, The Sims!
A lot of people, kind of the lesson that they pulled away from those games was, oh, it's great to have a power trip. You know, and that's why people like playing these games, because they can be like, you know, God. Going back to something like The Sims, which seemed very mundane, where you're doing things like cleaning the toilet and going to work every morning, felt like it was lacking that critical element. But I never really saw that as the critical element for the Sim games.
Really? My toilet's overflowing with critical elements.
With SimCity, you know, as far back as that, we had people describing to us not their city, but the story of their city. And for me, that was like the big draw of the whole Sims concept, was here's a game where everybody's going to be, you know, telling, creating, playing their own story.
The one thing humans do incessantly is communicate, so a key decision in the game's development was how the little computer people would speak.
The weakest link in that chain was them all of a sudden speaking English and repeating the same pre-recorded phrase over and over. So from the beginning, I wanted to have something that sounded like a real language, but wasn't.
We had
these 2 voice actors that we were working with, Jerry Lauder and Steve Kieran, and at some point they said, hey, let us just try it. And they started kind of inventing this language in the studio. And they started kind of saying gibberish to each other. And they were just kind of speaking it back and forth, and over time they started getting very consistent results to where it sounded like a language. It wasn't just totally random statements.
Weirdos. The language proved almost as popular as the game itself, with some people even creating websites to translate it, while others just tried to cure cancer.
Some people, you know, they play the game of I'm going to torture my Sims. I want to see how many Sims I can kill. I want to see if I can get them all to fall in love or have affairs. I mean, everybody kind of comes up with their own goal states. And so, in some sense, they become kind of a game designer as they play the game.
Just remember, people, it's not real.
We scoured the Premiership and the Championship in search of the best Pro Evolution players to stage the world's first virtual football competition. 8 pros have to compete through group rounds and knockout stages until one of them has earned the right to be crowned the When Games Attack Football Champion.
Scott Fitzgerald currently tops Group A with 4 points, then Alexis Nicholas has 3, Lee Sharp's looking precarious on 2, and poor old Darren Curry has a solitary point at the bottom. Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm sweating, and not just because I'm clinically obese. No, it's the final round of Group A matches in our football challenge here on When Games Attack. We have got Brighton and Hove Albion's midfield maestro Alexis Nicholas against the legend that is Lee Sharp. It's a game that they both must win, but even thick kids out there know that's not technically possible when only 2 teams are involved. Alexis, won your first game, lost your second game. I don't know what to make of you. Are you the real deal or not?
I don't know myself yet. Hopefully I'll win this game and keep going.
Yeah. Now, you're playing against Lee Sharp today. You've caught a little bit of his games. He's not the biggest threat in front of goal.
No, but he can pass it around well, and if he makes the chances, you never know, he'll probably pull one off or a few off against me.
Right, excellent. So Alexis hoping that Lee might pull a few off in front of him today. I knew you'd giggle at that, Lee. Now, yeah, we have said you have shown you've shown a little bit of flair, and that's just in the interviews. But you still haven't burst the net yet.
I know we're going to have to lose this tag of king of the draws.
Yeah, it's a monkey on your back.
It's shocking. We need to hit the back of the net. I don't care who does it or how it happens, but we need to hit the back of the net.
It's going to be a crunch match here. Like I say, the winner goes through to the next round. The loser goes home. Find out who will be which, what, when, where, and even why after the break.
Before we go, it's just time to see what's made the 3 and 2 spot of the most hyped games of all time. At number 3 is Galleon, the much-delayed title from Lara Croft creator Toby Gard. Boy, were we getting excited about this one. It was going to be brilliant. We were going to get to fight pirates in a fresh, breezy adventure that offered unprecedented levels of freedom and fun. There seems to be an unwritten law of games that any title delayed more than a year never recovers. When it did finally lurch into the shops, its ancient heritage was all too obvious, and like a man dressed in the fashions of a bygone era, Galleon was publicly shunned.
I wonder why they would kill one another.
At number 2, it's Driver 3. When Atari had Hollywood veterans Tony and Ridley Scott produce a short film to promote the game, either they believed it was the second coming, or they were trying to fool the world into believing it wasn't a steaming turd. Well, it turns out Driver 3 was that steaming turd. The graphics were at best cack, the cars handled like badly maintained pikey dodgems, and the whole ordeal of running and shooting was conducted with the grace and ease of a drunk trying to walk in a straight line. The lead character, Tanner, voiced by Tarantino's sycophant Michael Madsen, was chunky, ugly, and a tad cliché of the washed-up cop. The only saving grace were the cutscenes, and what do we all know about cutscenes? You can't play them! You can find out the most hyped game ever in part 2.
Come on, guys, get into shape.
Coming up in your alternative video game show, the defence of the realm rests on Caroline Flack. Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat go head-to-head, and the most overhyped game ever. But first, the nation's loins demand our football challenge. So let's join Stevie Morgan in the commentary box for Alexis Nicolas' France against Lee Sharp's England.
Thanks, Dominic, and welcome once again to the hallowed virtual turf, where England get us underway, and it's Steven Gerrard slinking and sliding, but he's dispossessed, and it's France on the attack.
Gonna get blasted here, aren't I?
Lee Sharp, you've got to do something about it, because you could indeed get blasted, and
Oh no!
England
Disaster early on.
go 1-0 down, and it's that
What
man,
market is that?
Thierry Henry, who puts France 1-0 ahead. Just look at that. It was a bit of a fluke, I think you'll agree, but it does mean that France lead England by 1-0. And they're on the attack once again, but James smothers it.
This is not going according to plan.
No, it's not going according to plan, and Pires now could make it too, but no!
Well done, James. He out fast there, spotted the danger.
Yes, it's about time you spotted the danger as well, Lee Sharp, because a nation expects, and it's Rooney! He skies it! That was an abysmal first half, but it's France who get us underway. They lead 1-0. Zidane! Stop him! Stop the bald Frenchman! No, they can't!
Oh, you can't let him do that.
Well, it's you who controls the players, Lee Sharp. Can you not get that into your footballing brain? If indeed you do have a footballing brain. But now it's Owen who works his way through, but that was an outrage!
Oh, animal!
Animal! Les animaux, as they say in France. Desailly should be off for that outrageous challenge. But it's Gerrard now. Oh. That,
what am I doing?
yes, you're only asking yourself what a nation is asking. He has brought disgrace to his country. It's 2-0 to France.
Oh, Sharpie, that no goal-scoring monkey still on your back.
Well, to say I'm disappointed is an understatement, really. And if it weren't for David James, you know, it could have been 6. So, I mean, you know, the forwards have got to do more.
I tell you what, he's got his critics, David James, but he kept that respectable.
I tell you, he played a blinder today, and I'm just disappointed we didn't score.
It's a real shame. I've thoroughly enjoyed having you in this tournament, Lee. It was a joy watching you throughout your career until that court order came in, obviously. And then I had to back off. But thank you very much, you've been great fun, mate.
Thank you.
All right, Alexis. Well, see again, the enigma. You see, he's the quiet man. He wins his first game, he loses his second game, he wins his third game. We can't work out, you know, if you're good or if you're pish.
I'm all right, I think. I'm just average.
Yeah, I think we need to sports psychologists work on your confidence a bit, and I reckon you could win this tournament, mate.
I don't know, maybe, hopefully.
Hey, I tell you what, when you see that big trophy we got at the end of this, if you win it, mate, it'll be all worthwhile. Okay, so if we look at the table, that means that Group A takes another devious turn. Alexis Nicolas definitely through to the semi-finals, might be in first place, might be in second place. But the interesting news is that Darren Curry can still go through. He's at the bottom with 1 point, but a win over Scott Fitzgerald will mean he goes through to the semis, and Scott gets the next bus home. To find out, join us next time. Hey there, welcome to another head-to-head. Come on, girls. Each week we take a couple of games and we look at them and we... What are you dressed like that for? You've decided to chav it up? You're better than that. Come on. Go and get your boxes. We're being resolutely old school today. Cuddly's game is Street Fighter 2, which means there can be only one game for Queenie. Mortal Kombat. Round 1. Gameplay.
Despite its superficial arcade leanings towards violence, Mortal Kombat was arguably a strategic-style beat-em-up. Fans believe there's nothing better than timing a crucial jump or delivering a devastating punch.
Street Fighter II satisfied both the button bashers and the more learned players, from the novices who frantically charged up Blanka's electricity shield, to the experts who delicately used Dhalsim's flaying limbs. Fun was had by all, but which one got your heart beating faster? "64% of the 100 gamers surveyed said Street Fighter II offered superior gameplay to Mortal Kombat. Round 1 to Street Fighter, 2 more to go."
Oh, come on, Queenie. Only the most stupid of puppets would think the Mortal Kombat control system's half as good as Street Fighter 2. Ooh. Round 2. Graphics.
Instead of using sprites, Mortal Kombat filmed real-life actors and reproduced their choreographed moves in the game. As a result, Mortal Kombat looked remarkably realistic, all the more reason for the controversy surrounding its violence. On the other hand, Street Fighter II proved just what was possible with traditional sprite animation. All of the 12 characters and backgrounds are visually diverse, rich in colour and detailed down to the pixel. But which game did you think had the best graphics for you? "62% of those surveyed said that Mortal Kombat had the better graphics. Round 2 to Mortal Kombat. 1 round to go.
See, Queenie, you've pulled it back on the graphics. Thank the Lord for disembowelment. Right, remember, 1 more round to go. Whoever loses this next round will get the forfeit. Come on, you know the rules. Round 3. Lifespan.
With its range of colourful characters and elaborate backstory, Mortal Kombat kept gamers playing. And it offered a kind of filmic realism which had never been seen in a beat-em-up before. Offering enduring excitement, Street Fighter II's lifespan continues to this day, as all of the characters are still around in its numerous sequels. And there are plenty of people who regard the game as a benchmark that is yet to be beaten. But which one has the more lasting appeal? "53% of you said that Street Fighter II had the greater lifespan. Street Fighter II takes round 3 and becomes today's winner 2 rounds to 1.
Never in any doubt this week. Oh, come on, Queenie. Mortal Kombat was always the Emperor's New Clothes of gaming. So you lose this week, and old school games means old school forfeit. Take it away, Cuddly. Wah, 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 wah. Join us next time for another head-to-head.
Prepare your sackcloth and ashes now as we reveal the most overhyped game in history. First, a reminder of our top contenders. At number 5, Lara Croft makes a mess of things in Angel of Darkness. Rise of the Robots limps along at number 4. At number 3, Galleon proves that not everything is worth waiting for. Driver blows a fortune for no good reason in number 2. But the unequivocal number 1 spot belongs to Enter the Matrix, a game that set a new low in movie tie-in pishness. The pre-release activity couldn't have been greater, with more advanced hype than the second coming. Oh, folly. 2 years, an avalanche of marketing later, and Enter the Matrix was released to universal derision. Had we really endured all that self-important hype for a game with below-par graphics, dodgy controls and appalling frame rate? It seemed we had. But games companies aren't known for their humility, and rather than hang their heads in shame, they're already touting the upcoming Matrix Online game. Apparently, it's gonna be brilliant.
Originally, I was really excited about this next feature because I was going to be doing it with Caroline Flack. Unfortunately, a little gastric virus left me vomiting up my own kidneys on the day we were filming. In retrospect, though, this probably did save the producers from a very clumsy and messy sexual harassment suit.
We've got a feature full of contrasts for you today. On one hand, there's me, Caroline, 5'2", blonde, bit of a girl. On the other hand, there's this thing I've come to visit, the Combined Arms Tactical Trainer, the world's largest, most advanced military simulator, and about as hardcore as it gets.
Kat really
really is the simulator to end them all. The size of 3 football pitches with a price tag of nearly £250 million. Current CEO is Colonel Charles Fattorini, the kind of chap that any girl would be proud to introduce to her parents. Can you tell us first of all, what is CAT?
CAT is the Combined Arms Tactical Trainer, which basically means that we train Challenger tanks, warrior fighting vehicles in a combined arms environment.
What are the advantages of training in this way?
What it does, it cuts down a lot of the time out on the area. You can imagine that tanks use fuel, time, the environment has an impact on it with tracks trundling across the ground.
Claiming damages, I might have omitted the chapter, but it did happen. I must defend my statement. She did attempt suicide.
In Chapter 7,